Hey there, and welcome back to the deep dive.
Hi, everyone.
We're here to, cut through the noise and get you straight to the science, real insights from research, none of the hype.
Exactly. We unpack the data, look at the studies, and basically give you the lowdown on what it all means efficiently.
So you feel more informed, maybe see things a bit differently. And speaking of understanding demanding situations, today we're looking at a profession that really pushes people physically and mentally. We might even touch on a wellness brand, Orium's Fit, that's doing interesting things in that space.
Okay. But first, let's set the stage with a pretty striking finding. Imagine a group, essential for everything we buy, where almost 80%, 80% are overweight or obese,
Wow.
and nearly a third are juggling 3 or more chronic health conditions. That's not just average folks. That's what researchers found specifically among Australian truck drivers.
That really does make you stop and think, doesn't it?
It does.
So today, that's our focus. We're diving into the study that brought this to light. The source is a paper from BMC Public Health, published in 2022. It's called The Physical and Mental Health of Australian Truck Drivers, a national cross-sectional study.
And this was a pretty big survey. They talked to 1,390 Australian truck drivers,
Yeah.
covered both long-haul guys and, the short-haul drivers, too.
All right.
This was between 2019 and 2020. And a cross-sectional study like this, it's like taking a snapshot. It tells us what the health situation looked like for that group at that specific time.
Okay, so our mission here is to break down what they found, translate the research speak into, well, plain English. We want to focus on what this data tells us about the potential downsides, the health costs of life behind the wheel.
And why that matters for you, especially if you're in the industry or know someone who is.
Definitely. So let's start with the big picture. Their physical health, those weight numbers you mentioned are quite something.
They really are. The study reported 25.2% of drivers were overweight, and then another 54.3% were classified as obese.
Okay, so add those up. 25 plus 54, that's nearly 80%. 79.5%.
Yep.
That's huge. And they compared this to the average Australian man, right?
They did. The paper notes the average is around 70% overweight or obese for Australian males generally. So you see a definite gap there. Drivers in the study were carrying more weight.
A noticeable difference, yeah. But it wasn't just weight, was it? They looked at chronic conditions, too.
Right. Ongoing health problems. They found nearly 3 out of every 10 drivers, 29.5%, reported having 3 or more diagnosed chronic conditions.
Okay, hold on. 3 in 10, and how does that compare?
Well, this is the kicker. The study points out that's about 4 times the rate in the general Australian population.
4 times. Goodness. So truck drivers are 4 times more likely to be managing multiple serious health issues.
Based on this study's findings, yes. It really paints a picture of the cumulative health burden.
So what kind of conditions were most common?
The big ones that stood out were back problems. 34.5% reported those. High blood pressure, that was 25.8%. And diagnosed mental health conditions like depression or anxiety at 19.4%.
That back problem figure, over a third of drivers, that really jumps out. The study said that's almost double the national average, right?
It is, nearly double. And you can sort of see why, can't you? Long hours sitting, the vibration, maybe lifting and loading. It puts a massive strain on your back.
Yeah, it makes logical sense. Painful sense, probably.
Absolutely. And speaking of pain, beyond specific diagnoses, chronic pain itself was a major issue. 44% of the drivers said they had pain lasting longer than 3 months.
Wow, nearly half. Living with constant pain while doing such a demanding, focus-intensive job. That's tough.
It adds another significant layer of difficulty for sure.
Okay, so that's the physical side, which sounds pretty challenging. What about mental health? You mentioned diagnosed conditions were around the average?
Yeah, the diagnosed rate, 19.4%, was similar to the general population. But, and this is important, their levels of current psychological distress were much higher.
Distress. So, like feeling stressed, anxious, down right now, not necessarily a formal diagnosis.
Exactly. It's a measure of current symptoms. And the study found a full 50%, 1 in every 2 drivers, reported moderate or severe psychological distress.
1 in 2.
Yep. That breaks down to 36.7% moderate and 13.3% severe distress.
And how does that compare?
Well, for working-age men in Australia, overall, it's closer to 1 in 3 who report that level of distress. So again, drivers seem to be experiencing significantly more mental strain on average.
That's a big difference. Did the study look into who was feeling this distress the most?
It did. They found a couple of factors seemed to increase the risk of severe distress. younger drivers, those under 35,
Interesting.
and also drivers who are already dealing with multiple diagnosed physical health conditions.
Ah, so the physical and mental health are linked. If you're struggling physically, it takes a toll mentally, too. Makes sense.
It often does, yeah. That connection is really clear here. Maybe for the younger drivers, it's the initial pressures, the lifestyle adjustment, financial stress, who knows?
Right. Now, you mentioned they looked at long-haul versus short-haul drivers. Did they find differences there?
They did, yeah. They defined long haul as driving 500 kilometers or more in a shift. Short haul was less than that.
Okay. It's
So long haul drivers were actually more likely to be obese, 63% compared to about 51% for short haul.
63%. Wow.
And they also reported chronic pain lasting over a year more often. 40% of long haulers versus about 31.5% of short haulers.
That seems to fit the picture, you know? Longer hours sitting, maybe fewer chances to move around, more wear and tear over time.
Exactly. But here's the slightly counterintuitive part.
Okay.
Short-haul drivers were more likely to report severe psychological distress, about 15.2% compared to 10.4% for long-haul drivers.
Really? You might think the long-haul isolation would be worse for mental health?
You might. But the researchers suggested it could be down to different kinds of stress. Short-haul often means dealing with heavy traffic, tight schedules, constant interactions, maybe more conflict with the public.
Ah, the constant daily grind and pressure versus the perhaps more monotonous stress of long haul, different pressures.
Potentially, yeah. The study just briefly touches on possible reasons, but it shows the type of driving might influence the specific health challenges.
So no matter how you slice it, truck driving comes with some serious health hurdles. Pain, chronic conditions, mental strain. It's a lot to manage.
It really is.
And thinking about those physical issues, the back pain especially, the
Mhm.
chronic discomfort you mentioned, it makes you wonder how drivers cope, especially when they're on the road.
Right. Accessing gyms or physio, maintaining routines. It's tough. Finding practical ways to manage your body, aid recovery,
Yeah.
that becomes really crucial.
You need solutions that kind of fit the job, don't you?
Exactly. And, that's where some innovation and wellness comes in. You see brands focusing on tools that are effective but also portable and convenient, like Orium's Fit, the brand we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
They've actually been recognized Product of the Year in Australia for wellness, 2 years running, by productreview.com.au. They design things specifically thinking about these challenges.
What kind of things?
Well, they have things like portable EMS devices. EMS uses electrical muscle stimulation. You can help with muscle recovery, maybe manage some types of pain. And being portable means you could potentially use it in the cab or during a break,
Okay. I see, like targeted muscle relief you can take with you.
pretty much, or their massage guns.
Yeah.
They're known for being quite powerful, good battery life, reliable warranties, things that matter if you're relying on it regularly on the road for muscle soreness and tension. It's about tools designed for demanding lifestyles.
Makes sense. Tools built to tackle the kind of physical strain this study highlights.
Yeah. And it's important we connect these health findings back to the bigger picture for trucking, right?
Absolutely, because the study itself points out something critical. These health issues, obesity, multiple conditions, mental health struggles, they've been linked in other studies to a higher risk of preventable crashes.
That's the crucial link for safety. While this study didn't track accidents itself, finding such high rates of these health problems in drivers raises serious safety implications. Addressing driver health isn't just personal, it's about road safety for everyone.
It really elevates the importance of these findings. But there was that paradox you mentioned earlier, wasn't there? Despite all these health challenges.
Right. Despite everything, a lot of the drivers in the study rated their ability to do their job as good or even excellent.
How does that work, facing all this, yet feeling capable?
The study doesn't give a definitive answer, but it suggests other things might be at play. Maybe experience, skill, resilience, maybe even just liking the job despite its difficulties.
A certain toughness, maybe. Adaptability.
Perhaps. But, as the researchers are quick to point out, feeling able to work doesn't make the underlying health problems disappear. Those high rates are still there, still concerning for long-term health in the industry itself.
Yeah, you can push through for a while, but eventually it can catch up with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's clearly a workforce under significant pressure.
Okay, so let's start to wrap this deep dive up. The main takeaway from this BMC public health study seems pretty clear.
Yeah, it shows Australian truck drivers, based on this large sample, face really significant physical and mental health challenges. often much more than the general population.
We saw high rates of overweight and obesity, lots of drivers with multiple chronic conditions, especially back problems, and concerning levels of psychological distress.
And some interesting differences between long-haul and short-haul drivers, suggesting the specific demands of each role matter.
And tackling these issues is vital, not just for the driver's own health and well-being, but also for safety on our roads, given those links to crash risk.
Definitely.
Now, we should mention, like any study, it has limitations. It relied on drivers reporting their own health online.
Self-report. Yeah, so there's always a chance the sample isn't perfectly representative, or people might under or over-report things.
But it's still a major piece of research giving us a valuable snapshot of driver health in Australia.
For sure. And it leaves you with a thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you're a driver listening, or you care about someone who is. Knowing these are common challenges, the pain, the stress, the weight management hurdles, what's one small step you could maybe explore?
Like what?
Well, maybe researching pain relief techniques that actually work when you're mobile, or looking into simple exercises you can do during breaks, finding resources for managing stress on the road, or just making that appointment to talk to a doctor about something you've been putting off.
Just one small step.
Yeah, because taking that first action, however small it seems, could genuinely make a big difference to your long-term health, your well-being, and maybe even how long you can keep doing the job you love.
That's a really important point. And if
Yeah.
you do want to explore more science-backed wellness ideas, or maybe find the link to the actual study we talked about today to see the numbers yourself,
Where should they go?
check out the Orium's Fit research blog. They focus on those kinds of science-backed insights for well-being.
Good resource. And you can obviously learn more about their wellness tools, like the EMS and massage guns we mentioned, designed for demanding lifestyles, over on the main Orium's Fit website, too.
Absolutely. So visit the blog, check out the site, and please let us know what you thought of this deep dive. Did it resonate? What else are you curious about?
Your feedback really helps us. Share this with anyone in the trucking community or anyone who might find it useful.
And hit follow on your podcast app so you catch our next deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.